Good evening, everyone. I hope this video finds you all well. The title of this video is How to Further the Globalization of Science Movement and Create a Social Sciences Revolution Worldwide. This is the core objective of my entire mission over the past 20 years or so, and how to bring it to fruition. Okay, I will begin this video by saying what social sciences are. Social sciences, in a nutshell, simply put, is the study of how people interact with each other and in society, in relation to society as a whole. Social sciences includes a variety of academic disciplines such as psychology, economics, philosophy, historiography, sociology, anthropology, and other fields of social sciences, even economics. Okay, and some examples and subfields of social science include anthropology. Anthropology is a study of how people create and give meaning to the social world. Anthropology is study of humanity, human behavior, human biology, culture, societies, linguistics, etc. And this also includes social anthropology, study of societies and cultures, cultural anthropology, linguistic anthropology, etc. Anthropology has branches such as archaeology, biological anthropology, or physical anthropology, cultural anthropology, archaeology, anthropology, linguistic anthropology, etc. And then again, we have economics, geography, history, historiography, linguistics, political sciences, philosophy, psychology, physiology, and sociology. Okay, and there are many different approach differences between social sciences and non-social sciences. Unlike in the physical sciences, which have where concepts are all universal, so in social sciences, we need to have culture-specific constructs. Inductive approaches are necessary. Deductive approaches may be adopted only in some cases. Data-driven from diverse cultural contexts is necessary. Case study method must be used. The critical, unique, and relative cases. Grounded theory may be required. Cross-cultural research design is required. Correlation research is required. Cross-section studies may be required. Ethnic and ethnic perspectives may be required, and these all may take precedence as far as possible over hypothetical deductive approaches and deductive nomological approaches. I have described all these in my previous videos. I have also written about this at great length of detail in my previous papers. Okay. In addition to this, ideology-driven approaches may weaken the case of sociology and anthropology and the globalization of science movement. An ideology is a set of ideas, beliefs, values that a group of people share. It can also be a style of thought or worldview. This is associated with doctrines, creeds, dogma, philosophies, axioms, theories, and gospels. The term ideology was coined by the French philosopher Antoine de Tracy in the late 18th century. He he was influenced by the works of John Locke and Etienne Bono de Condillac. Okay, ideologies will render people unable to think comprehensively and rationally. Examples of ideologies include the conservatism, communism, Marxism, etc. Therefore, all the people who succumb to ideologies such as Marxist intellectuals, Hindutva, Buddhist nationalism, uh, must be aware of the limitations of their ideology. And social sciences are also generally obsolete. I consider to be obsolete and outdated. I had a chat with someone in the US, and he also echoed and resonated the same view. Okay, data currently is drawn from Eurocentric context only, and this is based on the old white man's burden theory. The white man's burden is a poem by Rudyard Kipling, written in 1899. It is about the Philippine American War that exhausts that United States should assume colonial control over Filipino people and their country. Rudyard Kipling was highly racist, in spite of all the good things that I've written about him. It justifies white supremacy. It means that it is the right of white people to rule all over the world. And anthropology, to some extent, is seen as handmaidens of colonialists. Okay, the man made term handmaiden of colonialism is a criticism that anthropology was a tool of colonial projects rather than an independent field of study that was free to pursue its own research direction. Okay, and this term has been discussed by people for many decades, and scholars such as Tasal Asad have argued that anthropology was used to define the status of tribal people in India and Burma. Anthropology's role shifted from a pure study of man to tribal welfare and bureaucratic facilitators. Some place it was used to justify colonial rule, particularly in Nigeria and Canada over the Canadian tribes, Inuit tribes, etc. And scientific and clinical racial classifications which are not justifiable because racial classification, the whole concept is a big question. It's in doubt and it is also dynamic, not static. Okay, and However, some people seem to feel that we are moving away from colonialism in anthropology, and we have had a robust post-colonial school of thought. However, this is driven by counter ideology sometimes, and they have don't not come up with robust constructs. That's why we have also been trying to contribute. Okay, and many Indian philosophers like Arjuna Padure, etc. Edward said he was not an Indian. Arjuna Padure was an Indian. Gayatri Spivak. All these people have made a major contribution in moving sociology and anthropology away from trying to make a move away from colonialism. However, Paul Nishiji has written a book called From Handmaidens of Colonialism to Esteemed Discipline, and he feels that anthropology is being transformed from colonialism to an advocate of identity and voice. He was the founding president of the Pan African Association of Anthropologists, PAA. I do not agree with this analysis completely because we still have a long way to go to free from the shackles of Eurocentrism completely. What exactly is Eurocentrism? Eurocentrism is the belief that Western culture and values are superior to others and Europe is the center of world history. It's a worldview that assumes that Western values are universal and should be applied to all societies. Okay, how does Eurocentrism work? Eurocentrism views the world through the lens of Western culture and values. It justifies that Western values are universal and should be applied to all societies. It justifies the domination of non European cultures through narratives of superiority and advancement. It reinforces Western narratives linked to decolonialization and industrial progress. It ignores or undervalues contributions from non European societies. If you see the origins of Eurocentrism, the Egyptian French Marxian economist and political scientist Samir Amin coined the term in the 1970s. It is also closely linked to colonial suppression, oppression, and colonial violence. The related concepts are the idea that Western values are the standard norm, the idea that non-Western world is inferior and underdeveloped, the idea is that Western worlds are a cure to all problem, the idea that Westerners must show the light to the other world and that the rest of the world cannot develop their own concepts. We need to change the format. This is the crying need of the hour and day. The old format does not have a snowball chance of hell in succeeding. Snowball's chance in hell of succeeding. And changes are required. We need a practical touch. Practicalism is a noun that means that connotes a devotion to practical matters. It can also mean a concern for what is practical. Examples of practicalism include choosing to do what is realistically achievable in a given situation, choosing some kind of progress, okay, based on the above concepts and tenets, accepting whatever we can achieve in the present, and then preparing a long-term strategy, okay, to move various fields of science away from Eurocentrism. And pragmatism is an approach that evaluates theories or beliefs in terms of the success of the practical application. We also need culture specific approaches. This acknowledges the fact that the needs of each culture are different. No ivory tower pursuits. What are ivory tower pursuits? Ivory tower pursuits are a state of a privileged seclusion or separation from the facts and practicalities of the real world. Okay? There should be no nerdism. Nerdism is an informal term that describes the interest, behavior, and practices of a person who's passionate about a particular subject. Nerds are often known for the deep knowledge and enthusiasm in this choose an area of expertise. However, they tend to cut themselves off from the outside world. Therefore, they are very esoteric in their pursuits. What is esotericism? Esotericism is a term used to describe a variety of ideas and practices that are considered secret or difficult to understand. It can refer to a group of people who share a focus on secret knowledge. Read my book on the social sciences. Okay, we need to teach people all over the world on scientific method. We need to teach people advocate objectivity, and I have written a paper on the hallmarks of objective scholarship. It must be reliable, internally consistent, externally consistent, etc. Read my large number of papers on scientific method. Okay, it's impossible to reiterate them here, verbatim, repeat them. And I have also advocated the characteristics of good research in a paper. Okay, read those once again for yourself, please. And intellectualism is also very weak in general, particularly in developing countries, particularly owing to the following factors. Number one, there is extremely poor quality intellectualism, and scholarship is often sloppy and shoddy in these areas. Intellectuals are still mostly leftist in orientation or follow some rival counter ideology, which may be either reactionary or non reactionary. Marxist intellectualism is inherently weak since it mostly grapples with a limited set of issues and has limited perspectives to offer. Intellectualism is mostly based on advanced nations as the USA and countries such as India have yet to mature and evolve in this area. The thrust areas for intellectualism are still extremely narrow. Hence, we had proposed an intellectualism by objectives approach. Intellectuals are mostly nerdist, geeky, and asocial misfits. They lack a real world knowledge of practical problems facing society. Intellectuals rarely follow cross cultural and interdisciplinary approaches. They do not have knowledge of different fields and branches of social sciences, research tools or techniques, and knowledge of other fields of the sciences. There is no general long term orientation in intellectualism, and there are too many rival camps in operation. Okay. Therefore, in 21st century intellectualism and non-fields of activity in various fields of social sciences, including theorization and conceptualization, the following must be followed and be presented at all time. Number one, a desire for scientific, cultural, and socio-economic progress must always be at the heart of scientific activity in intellectualism. People must always be at the heart of all meaningful research activity. Number two are concepts and theories such as the theories of social cultural change, structured perception techniques, cultural frames of reference, ethnography of filtration, mind orientation, cultural orientation, mind space, identity theory, etc. Must always be borne in mind and used wherever necessary. Number three, truly globalized streams must be used in research. Refer a paper on cross-cultural research design. Okay. Number four, inductive approaches must be followed wherever possible, as discussed in our papers, along with grounded theory and sociological 90-10 rule. Fieldwork-driven approaches must be followed wherever applicable, along with the collection and analysis of raw data. We must guard against excessive over-theorization under any circumstances, especially where they do not make any sense. Real-world utility and practicality of theories, frameworks, and paradigms must be ensured at all times. Universal applicability of theories, frameworks, and paradigms must be ensured at all times. Unnecessary careerism and rivalry must be eschewed at all times. And there must be institutional coherentism at all times. Eschewing intellectual nerdism and ivory tower approaches are necessary. Desire to do good to science and society must be present at all times. Scientific methodologies, tools, and techniques must always be followed, including quantitative and qualitative social science research techniques such as interviews, questionnaires, surveys, focus group discussion, panel studies, squad studies, quantification studies, etc. Integration between all fields of social sciences and different branches of social sciences must be present, along with integration with other non-social sciences. Proper science communication must be carried out to the masses using simple and easy and understand language. I have written about this at great level of depth. Prioritization and according problems to those aspects and facets of research that are important to solve societal problems. Okay. I have also written about the 10 intellectual revolutions. I believe that the 10th intellectual revolution is long overdue. The first intellectual revolution, from my perspective, was writing, and it spread in old world civilizations such as Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley. The second intellectual revolution would refer to the flourishing of science in ancient Greece and its stellar contribution to the whole of human civilization. The third intellectual revolution followed the invention of the printing press by Johannes Gutenberg in 1436, when knowledge could be widely disseminated. Before this, painstakingly copies were written by hand, including the Bible, etc., the Quran. The fourth intellectual revolution coincided with the Renaissance in Europe. The fifth intellectual revolution coincided with the European Enlightenment. The sixth intellectual revolution coincided with the second industrial revolution of the late 19th century, the earlier 20th century, when people had plenty of time with their response. We had telephones, we had cars, we had aeroplanes, we had electricity, etc., cinema. The seventh intellectual revolution occurred when the process of decolonialization occurred, and this set the stage for the new and creative intellectual thought in developed countries. Though this would unfortunately be marred and blighted by dictatorship and socialism, the eighth internet revolution occurred due to globalization, the collapse of the Soviet bloc, and the rise of the internet. The ninth intellectual revolution would be attributed to the rise of smartphones and artificial intelligence, still a nascent and technology in its infancy. The 10th intellectual revolution we believe could be driven by the globalization of science the way we see it and emergence of intellectualism and enlightenments in underrepresented parts of the world. Is anyone willing to take the bait? Okay. Therefore, they must have some concomitant changes, cascading changes, ripple changes. Pedagogical reform has been initiated all the world. I've been writing and the writing about it till the cows come home. I've been writing about it to a great extent, okay? A great deal. The method and practice of teaching, especially in academic subject or theoretical concept, is pedagogy. This must be brought to. Oh, I mean, this must be changed. This changes must be ushered in to bring it in line with the times requirements of the current time or the present time. Pedagogy is the science of education. Okay, if you see the history of pedagogy, it emerged in Greece and it went through an overhaul during the Renaissance, Reformation, and the Age of Enlightenment in the 19th century. However, it needs to change. We have written about different types of education. We need to teach scientific method more, innovative and creative thought more, lateral and out of the box thinking more, lateral and out of the box thinking more. Automation of education can be explored, AI in education can be explored, distinguishing between science and super science must be taught, useful knowledge must be taught, functionalism in education must be taught. Okay. Along with this, religion still has a stranglehold, I mean, has a stranglehold over people in many parts of the world. I have written 10 points with regard to the decline of religion. Number one is complete and total separation of religion and state, particularly in Islamic countries and countries in the Middle East. Developing secular constitutions that grant human rights to citizens, universal education for all groups and genders, and being up to date with latest pedagogical techniques so that education systems can be brought up to date from time to time. Granting complete religious freedom, including freedom to practice, freedom to convert, and freedom to non-religion. Saying no to religious inspired laws, instituting and promulgating secular laws. Taking steps to promote a scientific tempered spirit of inquiry in society by allowing meaningful and productive debate and improving education systems, phasing out religious education and teaching universal human and values instead, allowing free media. There must be completely no censorship of the internet and media, allowing complete religious freedom of speech and free and open discussion of religion and permitting constructive criticism of religion in various platforms such as the media and in universities. This is present in the West but not in the Middle East and other places. Number 10, moving all countries towards democracy, democratically elected government in due course. More and more people must specialize in science all over the world. More and more people must specialize in social sciences all over the world. More and more people must pursue offbeat careers. Itself laments the fact that few Indians specialize in so internally, this is not a viable career option, unfortunately. More and more universities are required in developing countries, particularly high quality ones. Western universities must set up campuses in India. Several Western universities have set up campuses in India, foreign universities, including universities from Australia, UK, USA, and other countries. University Grants Commission of India, UGC, has already notified that regulations for foreign universities to set up and operate campus India. For example, we have Australian universities such as Deakin University, University of Wollongong, University of Southampton, Lancaster University, UK universities such as University of Southampton, Lancaster University, Queen's University, Belfast, Coventry universities, etc. Industrialists must set up universities in developing countries. Private universities must set up more and more in India. This must be regulated properly by UGCs. We already have some private universities such as Amity University, Lovely Professional University, Symbiosis University, Centurion University of Technology and Management, Kriya University, SRM University, VIT, Dhanalakshmi Srinivasan University, Shivnadar University, etc. And students from developing countries more and more must study abroad. There must be a cultural exchange. There must be dialogue and lively exchange among students from all over the world. Okay, and people from developing countries also must pursue proper intellectualism. They must be I mean, they must be fully aware of scientific method because people from the West don't take Indian scholars seriously because they are stuck in their own old-fashioned ideologies and dogmas and shibboleths. Okay, students and Western universities must be sensitized to the requirements of people in the non-West and non-Western cultures. Qualified personnel from developing countries must become faculty members in Western universities. They must not dissent just for the sake of dissenting, but they must have proper stuff and meat in them. People in developing countries must make the case as and when necessary. This includes both students, faculty, and lay people. Okay, and we must sensitize developed countries to the ground realities in developed countries so that people in developed countries take up a more wide-ranging approach to research. We can have meetings, conferences, symposiums, seminars, international forums, etc. We can have horizontal collaboration among developing countries, vertical collaboration between developed and developing countries. More cross-cultural research is required. Cross-cultural studies are research designs that compare human behaviors across one or more cultures. This requires healthy debate and dialogue and dialectical approaches. Okay, unfortunately, there have been different types of waves and different types of unhealthy trends. There has been a right wing turn in India, unfortunately. This may have been due to the excesses of the left. We need to set this right. Okay, I have written about neocentrism also. We need to have interdisciplinary approach. I have written about this. Interdisciplinary approaches involve collaboration between experts of different fields. Okay, combines data, knowledge, tools, perspectives, concepts, theories from multiple disciplines, draws knowledge from different fields like sociology, anthropology, psychology, economics, commerce, etc. integrates all these concepts. We also need to have more transdisciplinary approach. It is much more wide ranging than interdisciplinary approach. Okay, and it must be guided by scientific rigor and objectivity. Okay, we also need more strength. Developing countries must uh, throw their weight around, but only in a positive way. And we also need to spread awareness on the need for globalizing science, particularly social sciences. Consensus building is required. Okay, and people from developing countries can take the charge as soon as necessary, but they must follow a proper method. Okay, this is because the vested interests are always involved in the West, because West doesn't want to weaken itself, or they don't want to step outside their comfort zone. Okay, what is a vested interest? A vested interest refers to an individual's own stake in an investment or a project, especially where a financial gain or loss is possible. Okay, and till today, social and cultural dimensions of anything are not understood by the common man. I remember in the 80s we did not understand the importance of commerce economy in business in driving the Indian economy forward. Okay, social and cultural dimensions of most aspects of day-to-day life, including technology, are not understood today. Unfortunately, I have written about this at a great level of depth. This is a weak area at the present time. This is still um, our Achilles heel when we study society as a whole. Okay, we don't need technology that is still groping in the dark or groping directionlessly. We don't need technology that has not found a purpose or that's still searching for purpose. We need concepts that makes lives better. Technology alone will not solve issues. We need a human touch. Okay, along with technology, we also need the social sciences to flourish. Okay, for this we need syllabus modulation, syllabus modification. Okay, and people in developing countries must also touch base with intellectuals all over the world. We should create our own schools of intellectualism. We must also touch base with intellectuals all over the world. We must work hand in hand. I don't advocate nefarious and devious dubious means such as boycotting or public criticism on like outside in approach. This is an extreme step. Of course, I had proposed this in 2010 with respect to the Indo-Eurasian research list controlled by Michael Witzel and Steve Farmer. Witzel at the time was controlled by Steve Farmer, controlled by Steve Farmer, and he had, dragged him in unfortunate directions. Okay, he was responsible for his degradation. Okay, and this can make the future much better. Okay, of course the future is not what we always expect it to be. Past 45, 50 years, as far as my memory takes me back in time, I have never whatever I expected of the world. World has changed in completely different directions. That's why I would like to conclude this in the words of Karl Popper. I would like to tell you what Karl Popper has said in this regard. Karl Popper states, "There is no authority in science. We must not forget what is often rightly regarded as a breakthrough in science, is always something unexpected. In other words, something that was unexpected even for the specialist, for the expert, or the supposed authority has taken place in science. A major discovery usually contradicts what the best scientists thought they knew. This was the case with Copernicus, Galileo, and above all, Kepler, Darwin, Mendel, and Kekule. Okay, with this, I end my video, and social sciences revolution can make the world a better place to live in for all of us, not just in developing countries, but also in developed countries. Thank you. Bye.